All right, sports fans, welcome to another episode of the GT Sports Keep It 100. This is the podcast where I talk professional college sports. A lot to talk about here on a Saturday morning. A couple of games that were played last night, NBA, I'm talking about. I watched all three of those games, man. There were some great games. And then there'll be one game that will be played today. I think one NBA game that I saw on the schedule this morning. But I've been on the record as saying, the first round has been really good. I mean, usually in the first round you may get one matchup that's pretty competitive. Usually most of these games are swept. You got an 8 seed going up against a number 1 seed, and usually it's maybe if you're lucky to go five. Usually it's a sweep, and not a lot of excitement in the first round this year. It's been different, especially in the East, where a lot of these teams are going into a game seven. Which, I mean, I think it's if you're an NBA fan and you enjoy watching basketball, I mean, you're tuned in, right? Because all these series go into 6 games, 7 games, and it's fun to watch. And you're only in the first round, so speaking as I was saying earlier, the 3 games. That I watched. I'll start off with the Pistons and the Magic. I didn't think that this was going to go to game seven. That's where we're at now. I had Detroit winning this game. They were the number 1 seed, right? But Orlando, I mean, man, they made this a series. I mean, that team. I watched a little bit of Orlando throughout the regular season, not much. And they've got one of their key players out in France, and still, they're playing tough. They've had Detroit on the brink of elimination. Last night in Orlando, the Magic win and they win the series, which would have been a big upset. And in that game, and Detroit at midway through the game, I thought the series was over. Orlando had the advantage. They were up huge. Detroit just looked like they weren't even interested in playing anymore, right? And then in the second half, here they come. They make a run, so much of a run that they ended up winning the game 93-79. It was a huge win for Detroit. Now it'll go to a game seven back in Detroit. Obviously, advantage Detroit, right? But when you look at the stats for Detroit in that game, Cade Cunningham, who had another big game, played 42 minutes, scored 32 points on 10 of 23 shooting. He had 10 rebounds. Orlando Magic, Paolo Banchero played 41 minutes, scored 17 points on 4 of 20 shooting. He had 10 rebounds. The Orlando Magic were up 20 something points at one point in this game at home. And they just went ice cold. And Detroit got hot, and they end up winning the game. Detroit is, and now they're going to a game seven. So this is a tough loss for Orlando, man, because, I mean, you still have an opportunity, obviously, to win this game. All you can say is, look, we just went ice cold. We've got another shot, even though it's going to be on the road in Detroit. It's going to be tough, but we got a shot. That's all you can ask for. But I think when you look at this game, game six in Orlando, you're up 20 something points, and you can, win this game at home, and you let it slip away. Tough. And now you have to go to Detroit. Look, if you're Detroit, you're feeling good. If I'm the Pistons, I'm saying, look, we didn't really play a great game. We were down. We just got hot at the right time. They got cold at the wrong time, and we ended up winning the game. So going back now, I think Detroit wins this game. I mean, I had them winning the series, but I think this is an uphill battle for Orlando. And one of their top players, which I think when he plays makes it a lot difficult. That's why before Franz got hurt, I thought that they just looked like a different team with him injured. They just don't look the same anymore, right? So Detroit now going into a game seven. I think if Franz didn't play, which I don't think he will, I just think Detroit's going to win this game. I mean, I think when you go back to a game seven, you say, look, they should have beat us there. We really didn't come out and play a full a game, And so being able to get that comeback, I think to some degree, Detroit's very lucky to have gotten the W, but now going back home, where I think their role players are going to play better. I think Cunningham's going to have a big game. They're going to have the crowd roaring at their place. I think it's going to be rocking in Detroit. I just think Detroit's going to end up winning that, and Orlando's going to look back at this and they let one slip away because this was their game to win. Everything was pointing except toward the middle, about half the second half, where they just couldn't make a bucket and couldn't stop Detroit. They're going to look back at this if they don't win Game 7 and say, man, we let an opportunity really slip away because this was their game to win, man. So luckily for Detroit, they got lucky in some ways and won this game, and so I think they're going to go to a Game 7. But I didn't see this game going this far. I thought Detroit, they played better at stretches like this game, but boy, they do not in this series look to me like a number one seed in the East. That's why I always questioned if they were I know record wise Detroit is the top seed in the East. I just never thought they were the best team in the East. And in this series, it definitely shows why. A number one seed should be able to wipe out a number 8 seed and not go to a Game 7. So, but again, when you look at Orlando, when you look at their players, and they traded for Bain this year. I don't think Orlando is an 8 seed either. I think they're midway, 4 or 5. Well, I think they're at least 5 because I think the top 4 teams: Boston, New York, Cleveland, and Detroit. Because I think Detroit is better than Orlando slightly. So Orlando might have been the best 5th seed at best because I don't think they're better than those 4 teams. Maybe they're better 4, but I have them at 5 in the standings in the East. But nevertheless, listen, this was Orlando's game to win because when you played Game 6, which was last night, they already had a chance to end the series, right? So Detroit's back against the wall, having to win a Game 6 to then take it to a Game 7. That's why I'm telling you this. If Orlando doesn't win Game 7, they're going to look back at this and say, man, we let a great opportunity slip away because they've been in control of this series. I mean, they should have knocked out Detroit last night, and I think because they didn't, Detroit now has life, man. I don't think they're going to lose Game 7 at home. That's going to be a good one. I think that's on Sunday. But I have Detroit winning. This was Orlando's game to win. Now, like I said, if Franz comes back, which I think I saw that he's not coming back, but if he did, then I would say that Orlando has a great chance. But without him, I just don't think they're going to have enough in Detroit in Game 7 to win. So I'm taking Detroit, but what a heck of a series to watch. I've been watching it back and forth, man. It's been great to watch, and I'll definitely be watching Game 7, I believe, is on Sunday. But right now, 3-3, going back to Detroit. Detroit gets a huge win in Game 6 to send it to a Game 7. And again, I'll have the Pistons winning that game and having the Pistons moving on to the second round. Cleveland and Toronto, another Game 7 series tied 3-3. Cleveland should have already won this series. This has been a knock that I have on them is, they can't win on the road. They've won all the home games, but they haven't been able to win on the road. Toronto's won all their games at home. Cleveland's won all their games at home. So now they're going to a Game 7 in Cleveland. Toronto got a big win in Game 6 in overtime, 112-110. I think R.J. Barrett hit a 3-pointer. And what a shot, because it went all the way, hit the back of the rim. I think it went all the way back up and went in with like a little over a second left or something like that, 1.2 seconds, I think is what I saw. And they got a 112-110 win. So, look, great. I think Toronto has, in my view, exceeded expectations, taking this game to a Game 7 with Cleveland, because I thought Cleveland was going to end it in 5 or 6. I have Cleveland winning this series, but like Detroit, they're in a battle with a team I don't think should be going to a Game 7. So now that we're there, I give it to Cleveland. I had Cleveland winning the series. and I think they'll go back home. I think James Harden is going to have a big game. Donovan Mitchell is going to have a big game. Both of those guys are going to have 30-plus point games. Their role players are going to play better. Evan Mobley's been pretty good in this series, and I just don't think Toronto is going to have enough in Game 7. I mean, I don't even know if Ingram's going to play, right? He's injured. So I think going into Cleveland, it's advantage Cleveland. I think the two studs for the Cavaliers will play big. I think they're going to bring some role players. They're going to get some good shooting from some of the other players. And I just don't see Toronto, even though they have made this a series, and kudos to them because I didn't even have them going to a Game 7 against Cleveland. But I think it's going to end in 7. I cannot see if Cleveland lost Game 7 in the first round of the playoffs, this would be devastating. This would be horrible for them, right? To trade for James Harden, which I've been on the record as saying I don't like that trade because, yes, he makes them better having them there, but he didn't elevate them to be the best team to come out of the East and play in the NBA Finals. So if you trade for someone that you think, obviously they thought that he was good enough to get them there. I don't think so because I don't think James Harden, if they're healthy, is better than Boston. I don't think I don't think they're better than New York. And, I didn't think they were better than Detroit. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. We'll see. But I don't think James Harden trade elevated them to be the best team or the second best team in the East. That's why I don't like that trade. And here they are against Toronto, an injured Toronto team that is taking a Game 7 in Cleveland to possibly win it. I mean, I think they're the favorites, but who knows what happens in a Game 7. I've often said that anything can happen. Someone can just get hot from the other team. You can get into foul trouble. Injuries could happen where you don't finish out a game. I mean, look, if you're Toronto, you're in Game 7, you're just lucky to be there. For Cleveland, though, if they stay healthy, they don't get any injuries, I just don't see them losing this game. But I go back to this series. It took 7 for Cleveland to beat Toronto, a team that's not even fully healthy yet. Man, if they win this game, what happens in the second round where I think the competition gets tougher? I don't see them. Possibly they get out of the second round. I don't know. We'll see. But this is not a good look for Cleveland, even though I think they're going to win Game 7. I just don't like it. It's taking Game 7 possibly for them to take out a Toronto team that I think Cleveland is a lot better at, and they're really doing battle with them. So we'll see. But I have Cleveland, the Cavaliers, winning the Game 7 at home and advancing to the next round. So we'll see what happens. And then, of course, you have the late game, the Houston Rockets taking on the LA Lakers. The Lakers get the win 98-78. They win Game 6 in Houston, and now the Lakers will advance to the second round, and Houston is out. So the Lakers, listen, I'm not a Laker fan. I'm not. I just, I thought, when you come into this series and you say, man, they ain't got Austin Reeves, they ain't got Luka Doncic. Before you knew that Kevin Durant was not going to play in this series, you definitely bet your money on Houston and say, man, the Rockets are going to win this in 5, and they didn't even go to a Game 7. And kudos to the Lakers, man, because you played this series without two of your best players in Austin Reeves, offensively, and Luka Doncic. Luka's still not playing, but LeBron James. Whether you like LeBron or you don't like LeBron, man, you got to give this guy kudos for the way he played in this series. I mean, I'm watching him play. This guy's 41 years old, right? And he's running up and down the court like he's a young dude. And he's defending well, and he still has that spurt of speed that he can turn it on at any time. And look, the Lakers won because of LeBron James. They won this series because of LeBron, the way LeBron played. I know he had some iffy games, but overall, the guy's 41 years old. And look, I give him kudos, man, because to be able to play, because the even though he had some role players around him, he had to play good for this team to beat the Rockets. Of course, the Rockets were without Kevin Durant. I'll get to them here in a bit. But this was a good win for the Lakers. And LeBron, listen, I mean, LeBron can still play. Watching him play in this series, to me, he could probably play another 3 years if he wants. He doesn't show like he's slowing down. He showed in this series that he still can carry a team in a series. Granted that, there was no Kevin Durant, but he played great, and he had to play great. And like I said, he doesn't look like a guy in this series to me that was slowing down. I'd say if he wanted to play another 2, 3 years, he probably could. So it's just amazing to see for me a guy at 40, 41 years of age, whatever his age is, to play at that level. Man, he's playing some young dudes in their 20s, man, and he's still schooling some of these guys. So man, kudos to you, LeBron, for the way you play. And the Lakers are moving on to the next round. A big reason because of LeBron. We wanted to see if he could carry a team, right? I would say yes, he can. He won this series in 6, so it's great. Look, I'll also say this because in this podcast, I've never talked about this, but to me, if we ever, and we probably will down the road, get into the conversation. We just haven't gotten into the conversation about who's the GOAT, right? For me, I'll come out on the record. To me, Michael Jordan is the GOAT, right? Like, to me, it doesn't matter what LeBron is doing at 41, unless he wins. And even then, I don't think I changed my mind. But, to me, championships matter. Yes, stats matter. But to me, championships matter. Playing in the biggest moments of the game, whether you play baseball, whether you play football, which is the Super Bowl, baseball, the NBA, the NBA Finals, or the World Series, whatever it is that you're playing. What counts to me, what I take a lot into consideration is in the biggest moments, how well do the stars play? Because that to me is what counts. Not to say that the regular season doesn't count. Of course it does. Not to mean that the stats or awards don't matter. It does. But we all play for championships. When you get to the NBA, for example, you're playing to win a championship. If the stats come, if the awards come, that's great. But I think every player would tell you they all want to win the championship, right? They all want to be the last team standing. Michael Jordan did it 6 times, and I've heard and I've had conversations where people will tell me, well, yeah, but in his early career he got swept, or Detroit did this to them. Okay, that's fine. When it mattered, when he got up to the top, you couldn't bring him down, right? He went to the finals 6 times, and 6 times he won a championship. He never lost in the biggest games, in the biggest series of the NBA, right? When he had to be Michael Jordan, when he had to take that shot or make that pass, he was always there, making the play, making sure that his team, when he got to the biggest game 6 times, he won 6 times, record 6-0. And by the way, a 2-3-peat, he won 3 times twice, right? So he goes back to back to back, then comes back and does it again, not once, which is a difficult thing to do, but then come back after a few years and go back to back to back twice. So to me, it's not only winning 6 championships and being undefeated in the finals, but it's in the manner that he did it. Michael Jordan was the best player in the biggest moments 6 times of his career. To me, that's amazing. So without anything else, without putting anything together, that's why I have him as the GOAT. I'm not saying that LeBron is bad. LeBron is awesome. But is he better, in my opinion, than Michael? Absolutely not. There's nothing, and we can have a debate. If anybody wants to get in, debate me, man. I love the debating. But to me, because of that, that's why Michael, to me, is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. So I'm not other people, because I've had conversations with other people, and they'll tell me about LeBron. And I think he's great, man. And to be able to play, because Bird didn't do it, Jordan didn't do it, Magic didn't do it. They could not play into their 40s and be effective as LeBron. So LeBron's been able to do something that some of the greats in this game have never been able to do. And kudos to him. But he's not, in my book, the greatest. He just is not. I've seen him in the finals. I've seen the way he's played. And he's had some talent. He's had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in Cleveland. He's had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Not to mention he had Ray Allen in Miami. He's had Anthony Davis. He has Luka Doncic. He's had some star players in his career where he could have won championships and didn't do it. He lost more times than he won. Like, you can get to the big game and that counts for something. But if you don't come out the winner in that big game, it only takes you so far. So being, yes, in the finals a lot of times, he's been there quite a bit of times, is an accomplishment in itself. But he's lost more times than he's won. And I don't know how you can label someone the GOAT when you've gotten to the final and lost more times than you won, when he's had talent to be able to win. So that's just my opinion, my 2 cents in it. I threw it in there just in case somebody's going to kind of hear this podcast and wants to debate me. Listen, I could be wrong. Again, this is just my opinion. But to me, if we ever, and we will at some point, I'll be bringing in people, we will discuss the GOAT conversation. For me, it is Michael Jordan. It is Michael Jordan who is the greatest of all time when we talk about the best basketball player. So there it is. I've said it. I've never come out on the podcast and said it, but that's my feeling there. So let's get back to the game. The Rockets. Man, listen, I was in favor of Kevin Durant coming. I've had some people tell me that they think the Kevin Durant trade was bad. I can see why they would say that now, because they really didn't. They traded for Kevin Durant because they wanted to get further in the playoffs. That didn't happen. I think there is something to say about Kevin Durant. I think the players you saw in this series, when Kevin was hurt, you saw 2 games where Shingun played better, Jabari Smith played better, Amen Thompson played better. But Kevin Durant to me was brought to Houston to be a scorer, right? And he scored 25 points pretty much a game, I think was his average. I mean, he scored consistently throughout the regular season. It's bad that, at the biggest time when you need him, he was healthy all season. And then when you need him in the first round of the playoffs, he all of a sudden gets down and you don't have, because Kevin Durant's the best player that they have, right? Your best player is out. But did they make going into the offseason, what do you do here? I mean, I think Steven Adams' injury definitely hurt Houston, not having them there for rebound purposes. I think Fred VanVleet not playing there hurt them also. They didn't have a point guard. But listen, I don't think if Steven Adams wouldn't have been hurt, if he was healthy in this series, and if Fred VanVleet was healthy, would they have beaten the Lakers with Luka Doncic? Who knows, right? Both teams were healthy. But I don't think Houston was going to be better than San Antonio. I don't think they were going to be better than OKC. They probably weren't going to be able to beat Denver. And I don't know that they beat Minnesota now, because Minnesota's really been a surprise here with all the injuries and beating Denver. What I'm saying is, I don't know that with the trade of Kevin Durant, if that makes them better. So moving forward, they need a point guard. I don't even know if Fred VanVleet's going to be that point guard for them. And they need another scorer, right? I just don't think Jabari Smith is that guy consistently that can score when Kevin Durant. I don't know that Amen Thompson is. I mean, Amen Thompson is a great defender. But they've got one consistent shooter that can really score 20-something points a game, and that's Kevin Durant. Who else from there can score consistently? Yes, Jabari Smith can have a big game. Yes, other ones can have a big game. I think Shingun pretty much for the whole season was bad. He shows some signs in the playoffs, but that's not good enough. They need another guy that can consistently give them 25, 30 points like Kevin Durant, right? So, look, I think you got to make some moves if you're Houston. This was a sign to me that the trade, the way this team is currently constructed, even if you bring back Adams, if you do, or Fred VanVleet next year, that's not going to make you any better than what you were this year, because the other teams are getting better. They're going to have to make some kind of moves here, man. And I don't know what moves there are, but if I'm Houston, man, I'm looking at Giannis, man. I am. There's no reason to think if you bring this team back, if you're Houston, again, this is just my opinion. I'm keeping it 100 because I was disappointed in the way Houston played, right, this year. But I'm looking at this at the bigger picture. I'm not looking at this as a first round or second round. I'm looking at this as Houston being a contending team that can contend with the two powerhouses in the West, which right now is San Antonio and OKC. Can this team compete with those two? Absolutely not. They'll get blown out and swept. They could even take on the Lakers when they were injured. San Antonio and OKC will beat this team healthy with Fred VanVleet and with Steven Adams in 4 games, I guarantee you. So that being said, if you're Houston, right, what moves do you make? Listen, Giannis, he wants out of, I don't know if he wants to come to Houston. Rumors have said he wants to go to New York, but if I'm Houston, I'm still making that phone call. Man, you probably want to make that trade now for Giannis. Listen, Giannis is a little older, and yes, he's injured at times, but Giannis still's got about 5-6 good years left in him, and he is a guy that can change the game for you. He's a game changer, man. He's a game changer. You have Kevin Durant. I don't know who you let go. Amen Thompson isn't leaving. I'm keeping Amen Thompson, but everybody else is pretty much can go. Does Giannis and Kevin Durant, do they give you an opportunity to beat or be elite in the West? I don't know if that puts you over the edge to beating San Antonio or OKC, but with Giannis healthy, with Kevin Durant healthy, and if you can put some good role players around them, you may be able to compete. But this team currently, the way they're set up, you just can't bring that team back next year, because if you think that the reason this happened is because you had injuries, I'm telling you, Steven Adams and a Fred VanVleet isn't going to change much next year from what you saw this year. This team needs another scorer, a consistent scorer to help Kevin Durant, and they need a point guard, and they got to go out and find those things, right? But this was not a very good team. You lost to a Laker team that had a star in this series that was over 40 years old, and for most of this series, right, even though you didn't have Kevin Durant, you were the better team, I would say, because you had Austin Reeves out for most of the series, and Luka Doncic, which is the Lakers' best player, didn't even play in this game, and they still beat you in 6 at home. So there's got to be some changes coming to Houston. What changes are going to happen, I don't know. I'll pay close attention, but I think they definitely need to make some changes if they want to be able to compete and go deep in the playoffs next year against the teams here that are very, very tough in the West. But again, Houston loses in 6. The Lakers will now advance, and I'll talk to that because they got the Oklahoma City Thunder coming in. Oh, my goodness. It's probably going to be a sweep. Well, we'll talk about that when the time comes in about a day or two. I'll preview that series. And then, of course, today's game you have on the schedule, I think there's only one. The Philadelphia 76ers will travel to Boston to take on the Celtics. Listen, I've been on and off the record as saying, I've always thought that the Philadelphia 76ers, to me, were a team that if they were healthy could make noise in the East, right? And they've never really been healthy. They traded for Paul George. Paul George has been injured in and out. Then he had that 25-game suspension, so he was out for a while. Embiid in and out. He's been hurt. So pretty much the whole season, you had Edgecombe and you had a Maxey, which I love Tyrese Maxey. I think he's a baller, right? And so I'm sitting there saying, man, if they could ever get healthy, right? So, you know, as the season was ending, man, look, if they make the playoffs and they get healthy, that's probably the scariest team in the East, right? Even if they get in the play-in tournament. But if they get into the play-in tournament and Embiid plays a series, Paul George plays a series, we already seen what Edgecombe and Maxey can do. And they've got a couple of other guys, I think, that I like what they play. I say, man, this Philadelphia team, you don't want to play this team. I mean, if you're a top 4 seed in the East, this is the team you do not want to see. Well, now today, Embiid is playing. He's healthy right now. Paul George is impacting the game. And then you've got the other studs, plus a couple of other guys there that have really shown a lot. We are going to a Game 7 in Boston against the Celtics. Doesn't surprise me with a healthy Philadelphia team that we have reached the Game 7, because I think when Philadelphia is healthy, they're probably just as good as Boston. Heck, they might even be better than Boston. I don't know. So now we go to a Game 7. I would love to see the Philadelphia 76ers win this game. I am not a Boston Celtic fan like I am not a New York Knicks fan. And it would not be a surprise to me if they complete the comeback and win the series. This is the Philadelphia 76ers. But that being said, The Celtics are playing at home. So I will pick the Celtics to find a way to win this game. Both teams are going to battle. So um, I want the 76ers to win this game. Um, I think Joel Embiid has had a tough career with injuries. He has had some heartbreaking losses throughout when he has been healthy. So I would love to see Joel Embiid beat the Boston Celtics. I ain't gonna lie. And I would love to see Joel Embiid go to the second round. This would be a big win for the Philadelphia 76ers if they could beat Boston and win the series in Boston in a game 7. So I am rooting for the Philadelphia 76ers. I hope they come in today. I'll be watching the game and I hope they win. But I do think that the Celtics are going to play better. And the reason I give this to the Celtics, I think Jaylen Brown will play better. Tatum, they said, is going to be okay to play. I don't know. Maybe Tatum gives you 20-some points. Anything outside of that's going to be a plus. But I do think Jaylen Brown is going to be a stud. He's an MVP candidate, or was in that conversation, right, throughout the regular season. I think today, he's going to show why his name was mentioned. I think he's going to have a huge game. But it's the role players. They're going to play better in Boston, right? And they make a huge difference, right? But here's what it's going to come down to. If the three ball is working for Boston, it's going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat. If the three ball, and I'm talking about if they hit 15 plus threes in this game, they're going to be tough to beat. If the three ball is not falling for Boston, then that gives Philadelphia a great chance to win because of what Tyrese Maxey, because there's really no one that can guard Joel Embiid. If Joel Embiid plays the whole game and doesn't get injured, there's no one that can stop him. Yeah, he doesn't jump and lift. You can tell he's not 100%, but he's still a dude, right? That can give you 20. He's just automatic from inside that or outside of that paint area. So a healthy Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe, I just think Philadelphia has more and can win this game. But if the three ball is falling for Boston, because they're going to come out, they're going to shoot the three. They live and die by the three, right? If they're hot and they're hitting, it's going to be real tough for Philadelphia. But if they're off and they're not hitting their threes, then Philadelphia has a great chance to upset Boston in Boston today. Either way, it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to that game. And like I said, I want Philadelphia to win. I've seen Joel Embiid lose some heartbreakers. I've seen him not be able to complete a series because he's been injured. He is back. He is scheduled, from what I read, to play. I haven't seen it. He's not going to play. So if he does play this whole game, hopefully Paul George has a big game. I hope that Maxey and Edgecombe and those guys, I hope they have a big game. I would love to see Philadelphia beat Boston in Boston and be able to move on. Because I think Philadelphia, look, if they stay healthy and they win today's game, there's no reason to think they can't compete and beat the Knicks. I think they can beat Detroit. I think they can beat Cleveland, right? So the only team, if they get past Boston, this is Philadelphia, and they stay healthy. The only competition I see them having is with the New York Knicks, right? And New York plays great at times, and at times they don't. I would love to see Philadelphia healthy and New York go at it. But if they beat Boston, Philadelphia, I think they can beat Cleveland if they stay healthy. I think they can beat Detroit if they stay healthy. That would be a great matchup for me. I'd love to see a healthy Philadelphia with Paul George and Embiid and them dudes go up against Brunson, Towns, and those guys. Well, wouldn't that be a great series to see? But before we get into all of that, right, they've got to beat Boston. And like I said, I just think Jaylen Brown is going to play. He's going to have a big game tonight. If Tatum comes and plays a big game tonight, they're going to be tough to beat. But I think it really comes down to the role players and those three-pointers. If they hit those threes, if the threes are falling for Boston today, there's a very good chance they're going to win the series. But if they're struggling at home with those three-pointers and they go, basket per basket, I like Philadelphia's chances because I just think they have more than Boston does. So it's going to be a good one. That game's going to be today. Just wanted to come out and kind of recap these games and talk about the one game I think that's going to be played today. So I'll come back later on today. Once this Boston game is over, I'll come back and recap that and then also talk about tomorrow's games that are coming up. That'll be later on. Hope you enjoy today's game, NBA. It's the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers in Boston, Game 7. Again, I hope Philadelphia wins and advances to the second round. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I'll talk to you later today. Have a great one.